All right, everyone. John Kerry was giving an interview, and he's like, well, Donald Trump should resign. I'm thinking to myself, the first thing I thought is, well, yeah, at least he's became president to be able to resign. You couldn't even do that. And who were you facing off against? Epic failure warmonger George W. You couldn't even beat him. In fact, you did more poorly than Al Gore had done, I think. Didn't he lose a state or two that Al Gore had actually won? And so he did more and this is in the middle of several major wars. You already had the early wave of the police state side of the Bush-era scandals. You didn't have Katrina yet. That's really what sunk him. Yeah, I always thought it was ironic that the thing that truly sunk his approval wasn't 100,000 dead Iraqis. It wasn't thousands of dead and maimed troops coming back with all sorts of fucked up problems because of his mismanagement. It wasn't the failure to get Osama, which he promised, oh, don't worry, we'll get him real quick here, years later. No, it's Katrina. Hurricane Katrina is fine because it happened on domestic soil. You know, and 9/11 did too, and that's what made him popular in the first place. Not that he did anything deserving of any great credit. What did he do? What was his reaction? Oh, here, we're going to put cameras everywhere, and we're going to start infringing your constitutional rights, especially the right to privacy more. Wonderful person. And John Kerry lost to him. That's because John Kerry was the same thing, only more boring. Like, people looked at it, and they talked about it right after the election, too. They were like, well, you know, one reason that he may have done so poorly, especially among certain demographics, maybe the youth, as a Democrat, very funny, is because Bush was more likable. Now, I can see through his shtick, and I did then, and I do now. But there is a personality difference. John Kerry, he sits there, he's like a limp noodle at all times. Like, can you even imagine the dude really smiling? Even when he smiles, his eyes are frowning. It's terrible. It's a little bit like Mitt Romney, actually. Mitt Romney, he has perpetual coke face. I think he had too many parties back in the 90s. But John Kerry, I mean, who fucking takes him seriously? What's he best known for? He lost a presidential election. He you know, lied about his military service, basically. I know it's called swift boating. It's a terrible thing. He's an idiot. And then as Secretary of State, you know, gets basically kicked aside, does a shitty job there too. That's what he's known for. The biggest position he's ever actually held wasn't even an elected position. Of course, once you're in the Senate, it's like basically you want to be governor or VP or something that's higher than being a senator, arguably. And he wasn't even a great senator. What else is he known for? He's just a constant gadfly. He comes out once in a while and gives an interview, and people take him seriously because he was a one-time presidential candidate and a Secretary of State, and so they assume that he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just an idiot. He couldn't even run a proper presidential campaign against one of the most hated political figures of the last century, dude. Nobody cares. Meanwhile, Trump's approval, at this point, higher than the Senate anyway. I know Kerry's not in office anymore, but that's the position he held. So that's the best position he held that he ever got elected to. That or maybe he is a daddy's boy or something like that. Now, it's very, very funny to see him trying to give other people advice. It's like Michael Moore. He's done the same thing. Well, Trump's an idiot and he should be kicked out. I mean, this is a person that endorsed Hillary Clinton after spending months saying he never would. So, you know, maybe not mentally all there. John Kerry, very similar. A political hack and opportunist, but he's also a loser. And so it's not like when somebody who's had a good political career, like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter became president. Yeah, I mean, he only does one term and not a very good first term. But he was a president. So when he comes out and he criticizes Trump and says, well, this is regrettable, I condemn this, it's more stinging. But when somebody like a Hillary Clinton, it's even worse. She lost twice. She didn't even get the nomination the first time. She plays second fiddle to Obama. They jerry-rig her into the Secretary of State position, just like Kerry was in, actually. And then, you know, she runs and she loses. And so when somebody who's been a loser most recently within politics, when one of the most recent things they've done is be a loser, it's less biting, I think, their criticism ultimately. When someone's perceived of or objectively is a loser. Like, oh, I just lost an election, let me weigh in on things, like Clinton's done. Well, it falls flat. Even her own fans are going after her every time she speaks now. With Kerry, it's more like, well, I lost a while ago, let me weigh in. People are like, well, yeah, but I mean, what are you doing exactly? You raise money for the Democratic Party. Okay, there are a million people that do. Why don't we listen to Bloomberg? He does that all the time. It's like just because a person happens to have had political positions doesn't mean they know anything really about politics. Especially again, the monumental failure that was the Kerry campaign. I mean, they should have told him this. They should have told him, "Hey, Kerry, maybe you should smoke some weed before you go up on the debate stage because it'll make you more personable and maybe you'll smile." It'd be a good thing that people could identify with you. Instead, I think John Kerry, like when he criticizes Trump, it probably makes people like Trump more. It's actually very, very funny to think of. Same with Hillary Clinton, because what's she best known for? Deplorables. Getting thrown into her van like a sack of potatoes. Wonderful, very charismatic. That's about all. Peace out.